This season, these 7 players have faced disrespect repeatedly.
Bro.
And don't miss a bonus player that's impossible to ignore at the very end. Let's get into it. Starting with number 7, Nickolas Jackson. The man scored in a Conference League final, won the Club World Cup with Chelsea, and still spent most of the year being the internet's favourite punching bag. Then Chelsea loaned him to Bayern Munich, except the deal nearly collapsed on deadline day because Liam Delap got injured and Chelsea suddenly wanted Jackson back. He'd already flown to Munich. His agent called it the most complicated transfer he'd ever handled. It eventually went through in the final hours, and then 16 days later, Jackson plays against Chelsea in the Champions League. Bayern win 3-1. You could not make it up. But here's where it turns properly disrespectful. Bayern have an obligation to buy him for 65 million euros, triggered by appearances, and Uli Hoeneß goes on TV and says Jackson will never reach the required number of games. Not a "it will be difficult," a straight never. Chelsea have already signed his replacement from Strasbourg. His parent club doesn't want him back, and his loan club's president has planned to not play him enough to trigger the deal. Truly sad. Number 6, Rafiniah. This is the most subtle disrespect on the list because on the surface everything looks fine. He had an elite season, most goals and assists in the Champions League with 13 goals, 9 assists. He finished his career best in the Ballon d'Or rankings. And yet, Rafiniah came out publicly and said he was upset with where he placed and felt he deserved much better. A player at that level, coming off that kind of output, having to tell people he wasn't valued fairly by the voters. Then, the FIFA Best 11 cycle in December 2025 comes around and he's squeezed out while the Barcelona representation skews toward Yamal and Pedri. Nobody really questions it because the discourse has already decided he's the supporting cast. He can put up the numbers, carry the team through stretches, deliver in the biggest games, and the conversation still defaults to, but imagine when Yamal fully arrives. The praise always comes with a caveat. Great season, but that's how you talk about a squad player, not the man who was arguably your best performer all year. Rafiniah had to publicly complain about his own recognition. That should not be a thing a player of his level has to do. Number 5, Federico Chiesa. Here's the sequence that defines Chiesa's Liverpool season. He scores at Selhurst Park in the Crystal Palace defeat. Then he gets left out of the travelling squad for the Galatasaray Champions League tie. Just like that. What makes it worse is he was only added to Liverpool's European squad late in the window in place of the injured Leone. Every time there's a selection decision, he's the first name removed, always the man without a chair when the music stops. Slot's public framing doesn't help either. The language around Chiesa always sounds like logistics, never like, we need to find a way to use this player. You'd think Liverpool would be desperate to get him a proper run of games given Salah's form. Instead, it's been cameos and question marks all season. A proven international who's delivered at the highest level for Juventus and Italy, and he's being discussed like a scheduling complication. If you're finding this useful, hit subscribe now. We're just getting to the ones that are going to make you genuinely angry, because the next 3 on this list all involve players who were brought in or trusted at a high level and then treated like the club forgot why they signed them. Next up at number 4, Eberechi Eze. Arsenal signed Eze and handed him the number 10. That's a statement, a declaration that this player is central to how you want to play. Then the benching started, and the cycle has been almost clockwork since. Look at 4 days in February 2026. Arsenal dropped points at Wolves on the 18th, a 2-2 collapse late on. And Eze once again found himself on the bench. Then February 22nd, Spurs away. He gets on the pitch and scores twice in a 4-1 win. 2 goals in the North London derby. And still, heading into the next match, the conversation is, will Arteta trust him to start? Don't say that about a player in the media unless the relationship already has visible friction. He's been benched yet delivered every time he is given the opportunity, and still hasn't been given the automatic trust the number 10 shirt was supposed to come with. Number 3, Raheem Sterling. This has moved beyond football. Sterling was exiled, frozen out before the Arsenal loan, frozen out again when he came back. And then a manager change arrived and still nothing changed. When a new manager doesn't reset your status, you know that there is no hope. The club at an organisational level had decided he was done. January 28, 2026, mutual agreement exit. No ceremony, no acknowledgement of a career that included a Premier League title and a Champions League winners medal. Just a quiet door closing. And then February 22nd, final debut. Raheem Sterling on the pitch in the Netherlands, having to prove he still exists at 31. Put that next to the highlights reel of what he was 5 years ago. Chelsea handled every step of this with the bare minimum of dignity, and the mutual agreement framing was doing a lot of heavy lifting to make it sound like anyone was on the same page. Number 2, James Trafford. City brought Trafford back as a serious investment, the future of the position, not a youth cameo. Then comes August 2025. Spurs 2-0 City. Trafford plays out from the back, the ball turns over. Palhinha scores directly from the sequence. It's the kind of error that happens in football. Keepers make mistakes, but the response was savage in a way that very few players have to deal with. Guardiola came out and defended him, and still wouldn't confirm whether he'd start the next game. Think about that for a second. The manager backs you publicly and still won't guarantee your place. Then Pep gets Donnarumma and the rest is history. Trafford is now an afterthought. Hope for his World Cup spot is gone. Poof! And number 1, Ben Chilwell. When Maresca came in, Chilwell was frozen out immediately. No pathway, no conversation made public, nothing. February 2025, loaned to Crystal Palace. A former captain shipped out. Then September 1st, 2025, permanent move to Strasbourg. A Blue Coat sister club. That's what makes this number 1. Chilwell didn't move because Strasbourg specifically wanted him. He moved because the Blue Coat ownership structure made it convenient. A corporate reallocation with a football kit on top. His years at the club, the armband, the leadership, none of it bought him patience, minutes, or even a conversation about a pathway back. Maresca arrived, looked at the squad, and Chilwell went from captain to surplus in what felt like about a week. The disrespect is in everything that wasn't said publicly. No send-off, no acknowledgement, no thanks for what you gave this club. He went quietly because the club made sure there was nothing left to say. Then our bonus player, Vinicius Jr. Most players on this list get disrespected in one direction. Vinny gets it from everywhere. Boos, racist chants, Ballon d'Or, failure, mockeries from away fans. That's just Tuesday for him at this point. But in December 2025, he got subbed against Sevilla and the home fans boo him off. Then in January, after the Copa del Rey humiliation against second-tier Albacete, he came out against Levante and got booed when his name was read in the starting lineup, before he even touched the ball. The icing on the cake, February 17th, Real Madrid versus Benfica in the Champions League. Vinny reports a racist slur from Benfica's Prestiani mid-game. The referee stops the match for nearly 10 minutes and UEFA later provisionally suspends Prestiani while the investigation is ongoing. But that's not all. In the second leg at the Bernabeu, 3,000 Benfica fans booed him every time he touched the ball at his own ground. Nobody on this list has had a harder season off the pitch. 8 players, completely different situations, all taking disrespect on the chin this season. So tell me, who's the one player you think gets the worst treatment this season, regardless of what they put out? Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.